Today I wanted to talk about the 1987 American-Italian film Stage Fright, or Deliria, otherwise known as Aquarius. Not to be confused with the 2014 Stage Fright, or the 1950s Hitchcock film, or the erectile dysfunction, or performance anxiety. The movie opens up to a theater troupe rehearsing for a musical production called The Night Owl, about a mass murder of the same name. One of the dancers sprains her ankle. Her name is Alicia, and her friend Betty sneak out the back way to get medical attention for her. But the nearest hospital happens to be a mental hospital. They notice a patient that has been locked up. His name is Irving Wallace, a former actor gone insane and went on a killing spree. Dr. Sleazeball fixes Alicia right up and sends her on her way.
I think I'm in the wrong business.
The patient, Irving Wallace, escapes by killing an attendant with a syringe and is hitched a ride inside Betty's car. When she gets back, Alicia is let go from her part in the play by the douchebag director, Peter, who is hopped up on cocaine. While outside, Betty returns to her car and is scared by Lucifer the cat, one of the best performances in the film by a cat. She gets a brutal pickaxe to the face by Wallace, the killer. And soon after, Alicia finds Betty's body and calls the police. After the crime scene is investigated, the body is then removed, and the two security guards are outside the theater. The younger officer is actually the director of the film, Michele Soavi. Talking about the theater director, the theater director decides to capitalize on the event and plans to use the incident to sell more tickets and keep the actors locked up in the theater to rehearse for his new altered material. They all agree to stay in hopes of more cash as payment. Corinne is told to hide the only key to the exit. Laurel, another actress of the play, is stalked by a mysterious shadow while in her dressing room, and she thinks she's being stalked by Brett, the guy who's dressed as a owl in the film, who wears the owl mask. When Brett stays to look for his owl costume after the incident, he doesn't notice that Wallace is now wearing the owl costume behind him. This shot is kind of a homage to the 1982 film Tenebrae by Dario Argento. Corinne makes her last performance and scene with the real killer, and they soon find out they are locked in with the murderer. Corinne dies without telling anybody where she had hid the key. The killer soon cuts the phone line to prevent contact to the officers just outside the theater. As the group is trying to find their way out, Ferrari, who's funding the troupe, is stabbed and hung by Wallace. I guess Wallace was feeling a little shortchanged and wanted a little more than just a stack of tens for his role. The killer then finds a cache of tools to dispose of the victims, like an axe, a chainsaw, a drill.
Groovy.
They hold up in the backstage dressing room only to split up as they search for a key, and they hear screams of the girls and return to find Mark killed by a drill while trying to prevent the killer from entering the dressing room. The group finally decide to stick together to defend themselves.
They want some fucking cocaine!
They move to the stage. Peter notices the killer on the catwalk, and they try to corner him. While the girls follow, Laurel accidentally knocks out Alicia as she is left behind unconscious. Peter sees the killer in the owl mask, only to realize he's just killed Brent, who's unknowingly tied up. Soon after, Sybil, Sting's girlfriend, is pulled down by the real killer and is literally cut in half. Sting tries to seek revenge, but is killed instantly with a chainsaw. Now the killer is pursuing Peter and Laurel. Wallace cuts Laurel as Peter pushes Laurel into him, and Peter is left holding an axe and his arm is cut off. He's lucky that the chainsaw runs out of fuel, but the killer takes his axe and immediately decapitates him. Alicia wakes up to find a wounded Laurel in the shower room. She is stabbed by Wallace, and he drags her body away. She finds a gun and searches for the key. She sees Wallace sitting with Lucifer on his lap, enjoying his work with the group's bodies placed around the stage and feathers flying everywhere. She finds a key underneath the stage and defends herself against Wallace by stabbing him in the eye. Wait a minute. Let's look at that key again. She heads up the catwalk and sprays him in the face with a fire extinguisher, which knocks him over the railing. Wallace grabs the loose railing and tries to climb back up, but she severs the cable and the killer falls to his death. And as soon as she makes her way to the exit, Wallace tries to attack her again, but she lights him on fire with the burning trash bin. She tells the police of what happens and wakes up the next morning in the hospital. While there, she remembers about her watch and goes back to the theater to find it, where she is attacked by the missing Wallace. The stagehand shoots him dead and rambles on about it as Alicia walks out. The camera pans to Wallace to show him smile at the camera. And then the end. And now for my likes. So the film is like watching a Dario Argento film without it being so. Since the film director was a director's assistant on many of Argento's films, you can see that in this film. I like the way they use props, where you could see what was real and what was not. The fake blood versus the real blood during the drill scene. I like the many characters, the interactions in the film, and the banter between them all, especially this one.
And you can go back to selling your ass in the men's room at the bus station, darling.
The musical score was effective for the most part, and I think there could have been sequels to this. Could have kind of stood against a franchise, or having a franchise of some sort. Not many dislikes on this one. The story did give too much away in the beginning of the film, leaving no mystery to who the killer was or is. But it is a pure slasher film, inspired by both American and Italian giallo films. So I wasn't really expecting a whodunit or a mystery. The ending wasn't very strong. She really didn't need to go back to the theater to get the watch, and it could have done something different. So that marks the end of my review. Please leave a comment or like and check out the description below. Save the HorrorTube channels. Keep a watch out for any new and upcoming creators out there. Thank you.